Clowns, buffoons, fools, jesters, jokers of one kind or another have been part of the history of almost every culture in civilization. The comic actors of the Roman Empire are probably the direct predecessors of the jesters of the Middle Ages. Although there were no professional jokers at that time, comic actors are likely to have been the forerunners in both their style of comedy and attire. Many Roman emperors decided to rid their empire of actors, claiming them to be damaging to society. Whilst fleeing persecution, those performers spread their trade all over Europe, possibly leading to the development of the jester in later years. Although it should be noted that jesters were prevalent in other countries such as China and India. The wish to be entertained and the need to laugh was and still is universal. During the medieval period, lucky jesters were the ones who were employed by nobles or royalty to perform at court. But he or she wasn't just an entertainer, they were part of the social fabric of a region. Court jesters were valued with great privileges. Let's travel back in time and take a look at the life of a medieval jester. Between the 12th and 17th centuries, the term minstrel, meaning little servant or gleeman, described any person who was a professional entertainer of any sort. This included acrobats, jugglers, and even storytellers, but more specifically, musicians. During the Middle Ages, many of these minstrels toured from place to place, staying for a short time in a town or village whilst business was good. Although some of the most talented and well-respected were permanently employed at the royal court or by other rich households whilst they were able to command a high salary. These minstrels could be found across the whole of Europe. In France, they were known as jongleurs or troubadours. In Germany, minnesingers. They were called skops in England, skalds in Scandinavia, and bards in Ireland. Travelling from place to place, they not only provided a source of entertainment with their ballads and stories, but they also served as a way of delivering the news. Information from the villagers would be shared with the minstrel, who would impart this news to the townsfolk in the next village they performed at. During the period of the Middle Ages, a person's station in life was governed by the family that they were born into. A blacksmith would teach his sons how to be blacksmith, as would a stonemason. A peasant would remain in the lowest social rank, but the European jester could come from any background. They might be a clerk who's fooling around to amuse the noble, a cottager who was known for their wit and joke-telling, or even an ex-monk who had been expelled from the abbey for their antics. It wasn't easy being a jester. It was a job that needed intelligence and quick-wittedness. A fantastic memory was essential for memorizing any epic poetry, heroic stories, or even just the news that you spread between villages. There was also a need to be able to improvise and adapt, depending on the audience. Children would want to hear pretty lullabies, whilst the older people would prefer a retelling of some bloody war story or another. Tact was also a requirement. A jester needed to appear whenever needed, but fade into the background when required to, which was a skill in itself. Jesters were given a free rein to say whatever they liked, but they had to be careful that they didn't upset too many people or go too far. There were two sorts of fool, natural and artificial or licensed. Either way, those that had physical deformities such as misshapen limbs, hunched backs, or exceptionally ugly faces were particularly valued, as were dwarfs. They used their physical appearance to their advantage to gain extra laughs. There are stories of natural dwarfs being recruited from poor families as they